The story begins in an ancient residence tucked away in the heart of a bustling modern metropolis. Our main character, a young man named Lin Shun, had nurtured a deep love for martial arts since his early years. For 2 decades, he immersed himself in intense training, developing a profound inner strength far beyond that of the average person. He longed for the day he would be recognized as a true martial arts master. That evening, while practicing, he could feel his cultivation reaching a breakthrough, his internal energy surging to new levels. Suddenly, Lin Shun heard a strange voice whispering his name. Reflexively, he turned to look, distracted just long enough not to notice the massive punching bag swinging straight at him. It slammed into his body with force. He only had a moment to shout, "Danger!" before everything went black. When he regained consciousness, a strange, disorienting sensation flooded his body. Someone had already treated and bandaged his wounds. It baffled him. How could a mere punching bag have knocked him out cold? Groaning, he forced himself upright. The place he found himself in was completely foreign. Even his clothes were gone, not just the ones he'd worn during practice, but everything familiar. In the corner, a bronze mirror reflected a face that wasn't his own. Lin Shun stared in shock. Who was this person? A jolt of realization hit him. He had undergone a complete transformation. Though his soul felt unchanged, his body was entirely different. Had he traveled back in time? Was this someone else's life he had entered? Silence blanketed the room, broken only by Lin Shun's panicked voice echoing off the walls. What's going on? Where am I? His thoughts raced in confusion. I was just in the courtyard. But now, who am I? Suddenly, a flood of memories, not his, yet somehow familiar, poured into his mind. They belonged to this new body. This person was also named Lin Shun. Since birth, he'd lived a comfortable life, cherished by his parents and sheltered from hardship. Food and clothing were never a concern. Overwhelmed by the influx of memories, Lin Shun collapsed to his knees, gasping. Decades of experiences from this other life came rushing back in the span of moments. It was surreal. Could this truly be a past life? The scenes became clearer, revealing his current reality. He now lived in the martial realm of Vitan. In this past incarnation, Lin Shun had leveraged family connections to enter the Heavenly Pole sect, the largest sect in the Yunnan region, as an outer disciple. Every day, he had trained with diligence, but, unfortunately, his natural talent was limited. From the age of 6 until 55, a grueling span of 49 years, he had only progressed from the first to the late 4th level of body refinement. Despite his slow progress, he never lost hope. He kept training, always aspiring to become an inner disciple and one day reach the peak of martial cultivation. Haha, what an interesting former life I had, Lin Shun muttered to himself. But the memories that followed were more troubling. According to his family's rules, if a child hadn't advanced to inner disciple status by the age of 17, they were required to return home and help manage the family's business affairs. To his shock, this body was already 16. That meant he had only 1 year left to fulfill his dream of becoming an inner disciple. Lin Shun had indeed transmigrated, and right into such a precarious situation. He paced back and forth, consumed by the dilemma, as if it were entirely his own. Rather than thinking about how to return to his original world, he dug deeper into this body's memories. This version of him belonged to the prestigious Lin clan, one of the 3 great families under the Shao family's domain. Though his aptitude was mediocre, his father's influence had earned him a place in the Heavenly Pole sect. Other promising youths from the family had been sent to cultivate at major sects in the Yunnan region, training under powerful masters. Among them, Xiao Xiang and Xiao Yu, who possessed exceptional talent, had joined the Pure Yang sect and Azure Dragon Valley respectively. 6 months ago, during a clan ancestral ceremony, both Xiao Xiang and Xiao Yu had already reached the early 8th level of the body refinement realm, leaving Lin Shun far behind. The Heavenly Pole sect housed countless outer disciples, all vying for inner disciple status. Aside from reaching the heavenly true realm before turning 20, there was another method: gaining access to the celestial prison mountain's secret realm. Success in that realm meant automatic promotion. Failure would mean waiting for the next opportunity. However, entering that realm wasn't easy. Outer disciples under 16 needed to exchange 500 contribution points to enter. Those over 16 required 1,000. After turning 17, the cost increased by 500 points each year. 6 months earlier, the previous Lin Shun had joined the Heavenly Pole sect. Every day, aside from his cultivation practice, he was focused entirely on earning contribution points. Yet in all that time, he had only gathered 133 points, far short of the 500 required for a chance to enter the Celestial Prison Mountain's secret realm. He still needed 367 more. Unfortunately, this desperate pursuit of points had resulted in a serious head injury, all for the sake of acquiring a bottle of replenishing essence elixir. This rare elixir, known to enhance one's internal strength, was essential for any cultivator seeking progress. 3 days ago, Lin Shun had gone to collect the 2 bottles of replenishing essence elixir allocated monthly to outer disciples. That was when he ran into a group of fellow disciples. Emboldened by their strength, they tried to intimidate him into handing over the elixirs. But Lin Shun, just shy of turning 16, refused to surrender them. If he didn't collect 500 contribution points before this year ended, the cost of entering the secret realm would rise significantly. Refusing to back down, Lin Shun resisted. Though his strength was among the lowest in the outer sect, and he was heavily outnumbered, he still managed to flee the confrontation, but not without sustaining serious injuries. His external wounds had healed after 3 days, but the blow to his head continued to leave him feeling hazy. For reasons still unknown, it was at that moment that the modern-day Lin Shun had transmigrated into this body, taking over its consciousness. As he gently removed the bandage from his head, a faint smile formed on his lips. He hadn't expected his past self to be so much like him, stubborn, determined, and utterly passionate about martial arts. "I'll make it right. I'll avenge you," he vowed silently. Now the truth became clear. 2 souls, bound by the same name and ambition, united across time in one body. They would walk the martial path together, striving toward the peak. The Lin Shun of the past may have lacked talent, but his devotion to cultivation had been genuine. He'd spent every moment training, determined to ascend to the rank of inner disciple. Meanwhile, the modern Lin Shun, a seasoned master of internal martial arts, had always craved a breakthrough, one that had never come in his spiritually barren world. But now, in this new realm brimming with martial energy, how could he not feel elated? Determined to seize the opportunity, he wasted no time. While still recovering, he made his way to a stream nearby, where he sat to meditate and cultivate his qi, accelerating his recovery. As his mind settled, he began to think strategically. "The most urgent task is to earn those 500 contribution points," he muttered. "In my past life, I spent 6 months and still couldn't gather 150. I had to risk my life hunting demonic beasts in the Emolian Mountains just to scrape together that much." His thoughts raced. Besides exterminating high-level demonic beasts in the Emolian Mountains, there's still the Celestial Prison Mountain's secret realm opening in 3 months. I need to strengthen myself quickly. I've trained for over 20 years, poured everything into internal cultivation. But the spiritual energy in my old world was too thin, true qi couldn't be developed properly. I never reached the pinnacle I longed for. But here, he paused, eyes glinting with excitement, I can feel it. The spiritual energy is so thick, so pure. My techniques, what I once called earth-shattering, have already shown signs of progress. I can even sense my dantian filling with a current of true qi. Just as he immersed himself in cultivation, A loud, jarring sound erupted in his mind, scattering his concentration. "What is that?" he murmured, startled. "It's coming from my right brain." He tried to calm his thoughts and trace the source. Slowly, it became clear it was a small cauldron. The image of it floated in his consciousness. Wait! Isn't this the same cauldron I always carried in my old world? Though it had been a family heirloom, the small cauldron had always helped him achieve inner calm during training. And now, somehow, it had appeared within his very mind. This body's memories. They also include the cauldron. Could it be that it transmigrated with me? As the realization settled, an overwhelming pressure surged around the cauldron, releasing an intense, vibrating energy that made Lin Shun wince. "What's going on?" he groaned, frowning. The energy from the cauldron grew stronger, as if trying to drag him inward, or invade him entirely. The force was terrifying. Whatever power the cauldron held, it was now awakening. And it had chosen him. A blazing force surged forth, bright as the sun. Lin Shun's hands grew scorching hot, instinctively curling into fists. The power from the small cauldron flowed directly into him, as if recognizing him as its true owner. Who could have forged such a mysterious object? Or perhaps, was it a gift from the heavens? The trees, the landscape, even the air around him seemed to warp and tremble under the immense energy. Lin Shun's cry echoed across the stream, filled with pain and awe. After what felt like an eternity, the crushing pressure finally lifted, and the world gradually returned to its tranquil state. Ha! Lin Shun exhaled deeply, every inch of his body aching, like he'd just endured hours of intense labor. Yet the fatigue faded as his eyes suddenly snapped open, gleaming with renewed life. He grasped the sword beside him and flung away the scabbard. His spirit ignited with martial fervor. Each of Lin Shun's sword strikes now held an explosive force. His movements were precise, steady, and devastating. Techniques he had once struggled with now flowed naturally through his body, as if they had always been a part of him. Did the small cauldron transfer them to me? He wondered. His strikes came fast and fierce, as fluid as water, yet as unstoppable as a tiger lunging for its prey. Lin Shun could hardly believe how energized and weightless he felt, as though he had been reborn. His mind was clearer, sharper than ever before. His senses had sharpened too. He could see distant objects over 10 meters away with perfect clarity, and sounds he once ignored were now distinct. Though he had always carried the small cauldron since acquiring it, believing it helped calm his mind during training, it now seemed the artifact had supported him in ways far deeper than he'd known. "Perfect," he murmured. "With this strength, I'll definitely earn my place in the Celestial Prison Mountain Secret Realm within 3 months." A wide grin spread across his face. Sword in hand, he resumed practicing with even greater determination. Beneath the roar of the waterfall, he cultivated while digesting the energy he had just absorbed from the small cauldron. He reviewed the martial knowledge preserved in the original Lin Shun's memories. In this world, the body refinement realm was divided into 9 stages. Skin tempering, muscle forging, tendon strengthening, bone hardening, marrow washing, blood refining, organ refining, essence refining, and chi refining. Beyond this was the heavenly true realm, further divided into 10 levels. Reflecting further, Lin Shun recalled how in his past life, he had joined the Heavenly Pole sect and thrown himself into mastering the 7-star chain sword technique. Though he had mastered the first 6 forms, the final, 7th form had always eluded him. The 7-star chain sword was a formidable martial technique, composed of 7 forms. Those who mastered all 7 could release sword chi several meters long, powerful enough to defeat foes 2 entire realms above them. Many disciples who sought entry into the Celestial Prison Mountain Secret Realm had already reached the 8th level of the body refinement realm. For those still stuck at the 9th, relying solely on the 7-star chains was risky. Thinking of this, Lin Shun sighed softly. "I remember the forms," he whispered to himself. With those words, he stepped into the forest depths and began practicing. His sword cut through the air, sharp and purposeful. A falling leaf drifted past him, only to be sliced in half mid-air. He executed the first form, thrusting the sword forward with confidence. Then came the second form and the third. Though it was his first time using them in this life, the techniques came to him with natural ease. He advanced to the fourth, then the fifth, and finally the sixth. In his past life, the sixth was the highest he'd ever achieved. But now, without hesitation, Lin Shun prepared for the seventh. He stomped hard, channeling energy through his body, and bellowed, "Break!" The tip of his blade surged forward. A torrent of sword chi burst out, smashing through a massive boulder ahead. A gaping hole formed in the stone. Lin Shun froze in stunned silence. I mastered the seventh form," he muttered in disbelief. He stared at the broken rock, then burst into laughter. "I can't believe it. The seventh form, the one I could never master before, I've done it. On the very first try." But even amid his joy, he noticed something strange. A searing heat radiated through his body. "My body. It's burning," he said, puzzled. "Could it be? Have I just broken through?" He looked himself over in awe, sensing the change. His internal energy had surged. No longer at the late stage of the fourth level, he had ascended. "I did it!" he shouted, leaping into the air. "I've broken through to the peak of the fourth level of the body refinement realm. Normally, advancing even a single minor level would take 5 or 6 weeks. Even with the help of cultivation-enhancing elixirs like replenishing essence liquid and spirit origin pills, it would still take at least 3 to 4 weeks to achieve a breakthrough. But now, Lin Shun could feel the strength in his muscles and bones. He had clearly reached the peak of the bone-forging stage. That meant the fourth level of the body refinement realm was complete. Next up was the fifth level, marrow refining. That would be his next target. Still, he thought to himself, I just broke through. I shouldn't push too hard too soon. Overexerting myself now would do more harm than good. His stomach growled, and he realized he had spent the entire morning training without eating. Maybe I should get some food first. Lin Shun gathered some fruit from nearby trees and ate beneath the shade of a large tree. As he chewed on an apple, his thoughts wandered. What should I do next? I can't believe the 7-star chain sword I practiced has enough power to pierce a 100-pound boulder. The image of the shattered rock flashed in his mind. A new thought arose. Even though I can't cultivate true chi yet, I can still train martial techniques. Finishing the apple in one last bite, Lin Shun stood and stretched. If I remember correctly, the outer sect of the Heavenly Pole sect has a scripture pavilion. There should be many powerful martial arts techniques stored there. I should go take a look. Who knows what treasures I might find? His eyes gleamed with anticipation. Scripture pavilion, here I come. Sword in hand and full of determination, Lin Shun dashed through the forest, ascending the mountain path. The scripture pavilion stood grandly halfway up the slope, nestled in vibrant greenery. When he arrived at its base, he took a deep breath. This is it. The scripture pavilion. People came and went from the building. Some were poring over scrolls and manuals, while others had already begun practicing the techniques they'd just studied. Lin Shun nodded with satisfaction. I didn't expect so many people here. Seems like everyone is working hard. I can't afford to fall behind. He stepped forward with a bright smile, only to be stopped in his tracks. Lin Shun. Stop right there. He turned to see 3 familiar figures blocking his path. The leader stepped forward, voice full of arrogance. You've got some nerve showing your face here again. Did we not teach you a lesson last time? Lin Shun's eyes narrowed as recognition dawned. These were the same bullies who had once stolen his body-tempering elixir and beat him senseless in his previous life. The one with the distinctive green hair was Lai Chuan. The other two were his lackeys, outer sect disciples who followed him around like dogs. Lin Shun remembered how Lai Chuan, emboldened by his older brother, an inner sect disciple, frequently extorted weaker disciples. Those who refused were beaten and forced to pay double. His presence here could only mean one thing. He was here to demand compensation. Lin Shun didn't speak, simply watching the trio with a calm, thoughtful gaze. Lai Chuan studied him, a brief flicker of surprise flashing across his face. "Wait a minute. This brat's aura. He's had a breakthrough," he exclaimed. One of his followers blurted, "No way. Just 3 days ago, he was at the late stage of the 4th level. How could he be at the peak already?" Lai Chuan scoffed. "Must have been some dumb luck. With talent like his, a breakthrough doesn't mean much. His actual combat strength couldn't have improved by much." He pointed at Lin Shun. "You know why we're here, don't you?" Lin Shun turned away casually and replied, "I'm not interested in whatever nonsense you came up with. I only know one thing, a smart dog knows when to shut up. Move aside now, and maybe I'll be kind enough to let this slide." Lai Chuan's face turned red with rage. "Did you just call me a dog?" he muttered, trembling. "You must be tired of living." With a furious roar, he lunged at Lin Shun. But Lin Shun met the attack calmly, blocking it with his sword. "Wait," he said firmly. Lai Chuan paused, puzzled. Then he sneered. "Ha! Admitting defeat already?" Lin Shun remained serious. "No. You misunderstood. I just don't want to fight in front of the scripture pavilion. It would be disrespectful to the sect." "Fight!" Lai Chuan chuckled mockingly. "No, this isn't a fight. I just heard your cultivation conveniently improved, so I thought we could have a friendly little sparring session." One of his lackeys added loudly, "That's right. Brother Lai Chuan just wants a little martial arts match. Friendly and fair. You don't need to act so tense." Lai Chuan grew more arrogant by the second. "If you can withstand 3 of my moves, I'll leave you alone for good. But if you can't, then you'll kneel, beg for forgiveness, and call me Brother Chuan. And from now on, you'll hand over your replenishing essence liquid to me, 2 bottles, not 1. By now, Lin Shun wasn't afraid of him in the slightest. He simply thought to himself, how pathetic. This guy's nothing but a bully. The old Lin Shun might have been scared, but the Lin Shun of today won't back down. He let out a cold laugh and said loudly, "The sect-issued elixirs belong to me. Who do you think you are to demand them?" Then, he added with a steely edge, "I'll say it one more time. Get lost. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." "You little brat!" Lai Chuan's face twisted in fury. "You've got some nerve. I swear, if I don't beat you so badly you can't get out of bed for 3 months, I'll write my name backward." Consumed by rage, Lai Chuan gathered his inner energy, channeling it into his fist with murderous intent. His target, Lin Shun's face. He lunged forward with full force, but to his shock, Lin Shun moved like lightning, slipping out of range before the strike could land. He didn't counterattack, only keeping his distance. "You dodged that one," Lai Chuan snarled, "but don't think you'll be lucky next time." Lin Shun's expression remained calm. "You're the one underestimating your opponent." That only made Lai Chuan angrier. He channeled even more energy into his fist, the power condensing and crackling. "Humph! Full of talk, aren't you? Let me show you the might of my Gale Bone Crusher." Their scuffle had drawn the attention of nearby disciples. People gathered quickly, curiosity in their eyes. "Looks like a fight. Come on, let's check it out." A crowd formed, circling around the 2 fighters. "Brother Chuan, teach that punk a lesson," someone shouted. Fueled by the crowd's encouragement, Lai Chuan's attacks became more ferocious. He rained blows down on Lin Shun, but Lin Shun remained calm, dodging each one with practiced ease. Lai Chuan spotted an opening and slipped behind Lin Shun, thinking he had him cornered. "Ha ha! Got you now!" But with a smooth twist, Lin Shun raised his sword and blocked the incoming punch with the flat of the blade. The defense held perfectly. Haha, is that all you've got, Lin Shun? Lai Chuan scoffed. I haven't even used my full strength yet. My cultivation is 2 whole realms higher than yours. I'm already at the middle stage of the 5th level of the body refinement realm, and I've mastered the bone-crushing claw. 1 full-powered strike is enough to finish you off. His arrogance was palpable. His lackeys, never missing a chance to flatter, quickly chimed in. Whoa! Brother Chuan's got a mid-tier yellow-rank martial skill. That kid's done for. Emboldened, Lai Chuan decided it was time to finish this. Watch closely, this is the result of years of training. Witness my bone-crushing claw. His shout echoed like a blast from a PA system. A crimson glow enveloped his palm, seething with murderous intent. He launched the deadly strike at Lin Shun, who raised his sword in defense. The moment the blade appeared, only the hilt was visible. A flicker of doubt crept into Lai Chuan's eyes. Lin Shun, when did you draw your sword? He stammered. A faint smirk played across Lin Shun's lip. 5 gleaming sword shadows flashed toward Lai Chuan's face. Lai Chuan, enraged, slammed his blood-red palms downward in desperation. You wanna fight? Fine. I'll use you to sharpen my swordsmanship. Their powers collided head-on. Lin Shun's first strike landed with surgical precision. He remained steady, his movements crisp and calculated. The blade slashed through Lai Chuan's defenses before he even realized what happened. Blood sprayed as the cut landed. Lai Chuan crumpled to the ground, clutching his wound. This was no training match, it was a real fight. The crowd gasped, stunned into silence. What? What kind of move was that? He took Brother Chuan down in a single strike. Brother Chuan, are you okay? 2 lackeys rushed to his side. Lin Shun calmly sheathed his sword. Wah! That was amazing! What sword technique did he use? I couldn't even see him move. The crowd's perception of Lin Shun shifted instantly. The once ignored disciple was now someone to fear and admire. Lin Shun exhaled slowly. I suppose that settles it. Lai Chuan, gritting his teeth in pain, forced himself to speak. You despicable coward! You attacked me from behind. Then he turned to his lackeys, still trying to twist the truth. You too. What are you standing there for? Get him! But fear flickered in their eyes. Be Brother Chuan. One of them stammered, that guy's cultivation is 2 realms below yours, and he still beat you. We're only at the early stage of the 5th level. We wouldn't last a second. The second lackey chimed in, yeah? We should go get Brother Li Xian and then deal with him. Shut up! Lai Chuan snapped, trying desperately to salvage what little pride he had left. If you don't go now, I'll beat the both of you. Lin Shun had actually started to feel a little guilty, wondering if he might have hit Lai Chuan too hard. But seeing the guy still had enough breath to bark orders, he figured he was just fine. After some bickering, Lai Chuan's lackeys reluctantly agreed to follow his lead, probably tempted by the promise of some kind of reward. Lin Shun narrowed his eyes. They're seriously going to fight me? Maybe I went too easy on them. The 2 lackeys stepped forward hesitantly, clearly lacking confidence. The crowd surrounding them grew larger, drawn by the unfolding drama. The 2 lackeys faced Lin Shun. One tried to puff out his chest and look tough. The other looked like he could barely stay upright. Lin Shun gave them a polite smile. Your turn. No, you've got it all wrong, one of them stammered. We're coming at you together. You'll be bedridden for 3 months when we're done. Lin Shun stared at them blankly, then burst into laughter he could barely suppress. Insufferable clowns! What? You're laughing at us? One of them yelled, indignant. How dare you mock me? Before the situation could escalate further, a powerful voice thundered through the crowd. How dare you brawl in front of the scripture pavilion? An elder had arrived. The spectators froze, then scattered like startled animals. We're doomed. The elders are here, someone hissed before bolting. No one wanted to get caught in the crossfire. Only Lin Shun, Lai Chuan, and his two lackeys remained rooted in place. Lin Shun eyed the approaching elder with caution. What a terrifying aura! What cultivation realm is he in? I wouldn't stand a chance. The elder, with a stern expression and a presence that felt 10 times larger than life, slowly approached. Sensing an opportunity, Lai Chuan clutched his wound and collapsed forward dramatically. "Elder! Please save me," he cried. "That Lin Shun is vicious. He attacked me for no reason and tried to kill me right here. Look at this wound, he nearly ended my life. Wang Lin and Li Liang can testify." The elder frowned, his voice like a judge's gavel. "Did he attack first? Do you have any evidence?" Lin Shun clenched his fists. Rage stirred within him. This scumbag. Still twisting the truth. Without hesitation, the three jumped in, voices overlapping in mock sincerity. "I, Wang Lin, can testify." Lin Shun struck Brother Chuan without warning. "Yes, I saw it too," Li Liang added quickly. "If we hadn't stepped in, Brother Chuan would be dead." The elder's expression darkened. "Is that truly the case?" His tone was sharp, suggesting he was leaning toward believing them. Lin Shun didn't argue. He figured their sloppy performance wouldn't fool someone of the elder's level. Then, the elder turned his full attention to him. "The rules of the Heavenly Extreme sect strictly forbid disciples from fighting among themselves. Yet here you are, dueling right in front of the scripture pavilion. Such nerve." His presence loomed over Lin Shun like a mountain. The pressure alone made him take a step back instinctively. Seeing this, Lai Chuan smirked and sneered, "Ha ha! Lin Shun, just wait, once you're expelled, don't come crawling back." Knowing he had to defend himself properly now, Lin Shun cupped his fists and bowed. "Elder," he said respectfully, "Lai Chuan and his two lackeys provoked me. He attacked first. I was only defending myself. I injured him because I recently began practicing the 7-star linked swords technique. I haven't fully mastered it yet. I lost control of the power. I didn't mean to hurt him so severely." "Lies!" Lai Chuan shouted. "He's lying. Elder, don't believe him. He attacked me out of nowhere and unleashed a 1-meter-long sword chi. That wasn't an accident." At that, the elder's expression shifted. His scowl faded, replaced by a look of interest. "A 1-meter-long sword chi, you say?" Lin Shun blinked in confusion. Lai Chuan and the others froze too, unsure which way the elder was leaning now. Then, to everyone's surprise, the elder's stern demeanor softened. He approached Lin Shun with a glint of curiosity. "Lin Shun, have you truly grasped the 7-star linked swords?" "Yes, Elder," Lin Shun replied. "Just recently." The elder gestured to an open space nearby. "Show me." Without hesitation, Lin Shun stepped forward. He drew his sword and moved through a series of graceful, fluid motions. Then, he pointed the blade skyward. In the blink of an eye, the sword extended to a full meter in length, radiating a powerful aura. Despite the weight of the expanded blade, Lin Shun wielded it effortlessly, like it was just an ordinary sword. After a few moments, he retracted the technique and returned the blade to its normal form. The elder's eyes gleamed with admiration. "Just a flashy trick." Lai Chuan spat. "What's so special about that?" "Excellent," the elder said, clapping his hands. "Truly astonishing. Though the 7-star link swords is only a mid-tier technique, its difficulty is said to rival even the highest-level martial skills. No one has mastered the 7th stance in years." He looked at Lin Shun, his eyes filled with appreciation. "To think you've achieved it. Anyone capable of doing so is without doubt a peerless genius." Still unwilling to give in, Lai Chuan shouted, "What's so great about that technique? Is it really that much better than the bone-shattering claw?" But Lai Chuan's protests were completely ignored by both the elder and Lin Shun. The elder turned toward Lin Shun with a look of approval. "Young man," he said, Your talent was once considered ordinary, but it seems you've been quietly building strength, leading to this sudden breakthrough. You're a very promising seedling. Lin Shun bowed modestly. You flatter me, Elder. I was simply fortunate enough to grasp the technique. The Elder chuckled heartily. If you encounter any problems in the future, don't hesitate to come find me. Thank you, Elder. I'll keep your words in mind, Lin Shun replied respectfully. As they made their way back to the sect, Lin Shun suddenly paused and turned to the Elder. Elder, there's something I wish to report. Go ahead, the Elder said calmly. Speak your mind. Lin Shun recounted the events of the previous days. When I was assigned to distribute the replenishing essence liquid, I encountered Lai Chuan on my way home. He and his lackeys ambushed me and stole the liquid. At first, I let it go, but they persisted and continued to provoke me. I humbly request that you look into this matter and administer justice. From a distance, Lai Chuan exploded in fury, his face contorted with rage. You're slandering me, he shouted. Elder, don't believe a word this Lin Shun says. But the Elder's response was immediate and thunderous. He turned a withering gaze on the disrespectful youth, his eyes blazing with anger. Silence, he roared. Lai Chuan and his companions recoiled in fear, trembling under the oppressive force of the Elder's aura. Ah! Lai Chuan stammered, unable to form a coherent sentence. The Elder stepped forward slowly, his presence like a mountain pressing down on the trio. Lai Chuan, he said, his voice heavy with judgment. How long do you intend to keep up this farce? Not only did you and your lackeys initiate the attack, but you also tried to frame a fellow disciple. According to sect rules, such actions warrant 100 lashes with the black iron cudgel in the Hall of Punishment. As his words echoed, the weight of his aura intensified. Terror seized the three of them. Their legs gave out and they collapsed to their knees, faces pale, bodies shaking. 100 lashes. With the black iron cudgel? They gasped together. In unison, they fell forward, pressing their foreheads to the ground, voices trembling with fear. Elder, we were wrong. Please forgive us. We beg you to show mercy. But the Elder's expression remained hard, his tone colder than before. For this first offense, he said sternly, I will grant you leniency. Then his voice boomed with finality. You will compensate Lin Shun with 300 low-grade spirit stones. Do you accept this judgment? Explanation. Spirit stones contain concentrated spiritual energy and are used as both currency and cultivation resources. They are categorized by quality: low-grade, mid-grade, high-grade, and peak-grade. Heavenly Extreme Sect disciples typically earn spirit stones by completing sect missions. For an outer disciple, earning 300 low-grade spirit stones could take several months of continuous task. Lai Chuan clenched his teeth, barely able to contain his anger. 300 low-grade spirit stones, he muttered through gritted teeth. Meanwhile, Lin Shun felt a surge of joy. He thought to himself, in my past life, I struggled just to earn a few contribution points. The 15 spirit stones I managed to scrape together couldn't even buy a decent medicinal pill. But now, I'll finally be able to afford the pills I need to improve my cultivation. This is a huge windfall. The Elder's voice rang out once more, sharp and unwavering. Rewards and punishments must be clear and fair. Do you accept the judgment? Lin Shun immediately cupped his fists and replied, Thank you, Elder. I currently lack spirit stones to purchase pills for cultivation. I have no objections. The three troublemakers, still kneeling and trembling, dared not defy him. We accept the punishment, they stammered together. Moments later, 3 small pouches filled with spirit stones were placed carefully on the ground. Lai Chuan bowed his head and said, These are the 300 low-grade spirit stones. Please inspect them, Elder. The Elder turned to Lin Shun. Inspect them yourself. Lin Shun waved a hand lightly, a faint smile on his lips. There's no need. I trust they wouldn't dare pull any tricks in your presence, Elder. The Elder cast a long look at the group. If there's nothing else, then go and tend to your injuries. The three quickly responded, Yes, Elder, and slowly helped one another to their feet. Lai Chuan groaned with every step, pain etched across his face. His two companions hovered anxiously around him. Careful, Brother Chuan. Though he had publicly admitted his wrongdoing before the Elder, resentment toward Lin Shun burned fiercely in his heart. Damn you, Lin Shun, he cursed inwardly. You dared to use the Elder's authority to humiliate me, and cost me 300 spirit stones. This grudge. I, Lai Chuan, will repay it one day. As the disgruntled trio limped away, the Elder pulled something from his robes. All right, he said, turning to Lin Shun. This is for you. Lin Shun looked up, surprised. Oh! The Elder extended his hand, revealing a simple ring. It's called a Huna ring. It bears a spatial inscription, containing a small cubic space within. Not very large, but quite convenient for storing items. It's not a precious treasure, but many outer disciples wish to have one. To store something, just say store. Lin Shun accepted the ring, intrigued. Let me try. He called out, store. A surge of invisible force responded immediately, pulling the 3 pouches of spirit stones toward the ring. In an instant, they vanished into the ring's space. Lin Shun's eyes lit up in delight. That's incredibly convenient. He bowed repeatedly. Thank you, Elder. Thank you so much. The Elder chuckled. You're welcome. Just then, 2 disciples approached in the distance, deep in conversation. The shorter, stockier one called out, Brother Wang, I heard you completed a sect mission a few days ago and earned over 30 contribution points. The long-haired disciple beside him gave a modest laugh. Haha, I was just lucky. By the way, Brother Chu, you're 16 this year, right? 1,000 contribution points should be enough to enter the Tianluo Mountain secret realm, right? Lin Shun's ears perked up at the mention of the secret realm. The shorter disciple scratched his head sheepishly. It's still early. I've only got a little under 500 contribution points. Brother Wang, you must have more than 1,000 by now, right? With your strength, entering the Tianluo Mountain secret realm should be no problem. I hope you'll look after your junior brother when the time comes. Flattered, the long-haired man puffed out his chest. Of course. As long as I get in, I'll definitely help you. Noticing the Elder nearby, both men quickly halted and bowed respectfully. Disciple Wang Yuan greets Elder. Disciple Chu Feng greets Elder. The Elder replied calmly, Yes. You may go. We take our leave, they said in unison and departed. Lin Shun watched them disappear into the distance, his mind stirring. His situation is just like mine, he thought. Only 3 months remain until the deadline to enter the Tianluo Mountain secret realm, and I've barely reached 150 contribution points. I'm still far from the 500 needed. I must raise my strength and earn points quickly. With steely resolve, he clenched his fist. The scripture pavilion must have manuals that can help me grow. With renewed determination, he strode toward the scripture pavilion. Standing before its grand entrance, the Elder looked at Lin Shun and said, If you rely solely on the 7-star linked swords, it will be difficult for you to enter the Tianluo Mountain secret realm. Have you come here to choose a martial skill? Lin Shun's eyes lit up. Yes, Elder. That is precisely my intention. I wish to select a martial skill suited to my style to enhance my strength. The Elder nodded slowly. Very well. However, outer disciples may only choose low-grade and mid-grade yellow rank martial skills. High-grade yellow rank, peak yellow rank, and low-grade earth rank skills require 500, 800, and 1,200 contribution points, respectively. Lin Shun blinked in surprise. You can exchange contribution points for martial skills. He thought to himself, I'm already struggling to figure out how to earn 500 points just to enter the Tianluo Mountain secret realm. Where would I find extra points to exchange for martial techniques? Suppressing a sigh, he managed a cheerful expression and replied, Then I'll choose a mid-grade yellow rank martial skill. The elder gave a satisfied nod. Good. The power of a mid-grade yellow rank skill is not insignificant. Follow me. Yes, elder, Lin Shun responded, following him inside. The scripture pavilion was filled with disciples deeply immersed in their studies. As they reached the central section, Lin Shun's eyes widened in awe. Bookshelves stretched into the distance, overflowing with martial arts tomes. Wow! I never imagined it would be this magnificent inside. And so many books. It's truly an eye-opener. I didn't know there were this many types of martial arts manuals on the ancient continent. The elder led him deeper inside. Take a look at the books in this section, he said. Lin Shun bowed respectfully. Yes, elder. His gaze swept across the titles until it landed on one. Spirit Snake Fist, a mid-grade yellow rank martial skill. After cultivation, one's fists would become as agile as a spirit snake, swift, unpredictable, and unervingly precise. Lin Shun read the description carefully, then muttered to himself, the spirit snake fist. The attack style doesn't suit me. He put it aside and kept browsing. Next, he picked up another manual. Blazing Wind Palm, he read aloud. A mid-grade yellow rank martial skill. Once mastered, it unleashes palm strikes infused with intense heat and tremendous power. He stacked that one aside as well and kept searching. Azure Cloud Steps, he murmured, lifting another scroll. A mid-grade yellow rank movement technique. Lin Shun rummaged tirelessly through the shelves. Time passed quickly, and soon he was surrounded by a small mountain of manuals and scrolls. Despite his best efforts, he still couldn't decide which one to choose. Now what? He sighed. I carefully selected all of these, and any one of them, once mastered, could be incredibly powerful. He scratched his head in frustration, then groaned aloud. Ugh! I want to borrow all of them, but the sect would never allow it. His exasperated cry echoed through the scripture pavilion. Within those towering walls, Lin Shun had indeed found several martial skills that suited him. But having too many choices turned the selection into an agonizing dilemma. He stood up and took a deep breath. Calm down, Lin Shun. Think clearly. He organized the books strewn across the floor and began reasoning with himself. For internal cultivation, I already have the high-grade yellow-rank Clear Sky Profound Yang Art. For movement techniques, I'll go with the mid-grade Azure Cloud Steps. With that settled, he moved toward the offensive skill section. Scanning the shelves, his gaze suddenly landed on something odd. There, tucked awkwardly, not on a shelf but propped high above, was a thin, dusty book. That's strange, Lin Shun murmured. Why would a manual be placed up there? Curious, he fetched a ladder and climbed up. When he retrieved the book, a small cloud of dust puffed into the air. This book. It's covered in dust. Looks like no one's touched it in a long time. He frowned. All the manuals here are regularly reviewed by disciples. There shouldn't be any nameless or forgotten books, and this one is so thin. Only a few pages. Intrigued, Lin Shun flipped to the first page. Two large characters greeted him, boldly etched in ancient brush strokes. Joyful sword. He blinked in surprise. This sword technique. It's a peak yellow rank martial skill. His eyes widened with excitement. A technique ranked at the peak of yellow grade must have extraordinary qualities. Just because others couldn't master it doesn't mean I won't be able to. Besides, this swordplay. It feels oddly familiar. It reminds me of the bewildering fist I practiced in my previous life. Without hesitation, he declared aloud, "This is the one." Satisfied with his choice, Lin Shun hurried out of the scripture pavilion, clutching the dusty manual. Outside, the elder awaited him. "Have you made your selection?" the elder asked. Lin Shun nodded cheerfully. "Yes, elder. I have." He respectfully presented the two books. Disciple wishes to borrow these. The elder's eyes narrowed as he glanced at the old, dust-covered manual. The words on the cover made him pause. Joyful sword. His expression turned solemn. Lin Shun, he said in a serious tone, I advise you to reconsider cultivating the joyful sword. The elder's words struck Lin Shun like a bolt of lightning. What? He asked, stunned. The elder began to explain. The joyful sword is indeed a peak yellow rank martial skill. It was created by an elder who poured his entire life into developing it, back when the Tianchu sect was first established. Before his passing, he requested that the skill be made freely available to all disciples, whether inner or outer sect members. He sighed deeply. However, the sword's techniques are exceedingly strange, and mastering it is incredibly difficult. For over 1,000 years, only a handful of disciples have even attempted it, and fewer still succeeded in comprehending its true essence. He fixed Lin Shun with a firm gaze. You're still new to the sect, so you may not know this. Many disciples in the past, drawn by its high ranking, attempted to learn the joyful sword. Most wasted months, if not years, only to gain nothing, delaying their own progress and missing the chance to cultivate more practical skills. The elder's voice turned even more grave. Just because you manage to comprehend the 7-star chain sword doesn't mean you'll master this. I'm telling you this for your own good, Lin Shun. I hope you'll abandon this idea early, before you follow the same fruitless path those others walked. Do you understand? Lin Shun lowered his head, silent. When the elder finished speaking, he finally responded. I understand your concern, elder, and I thank you for your good intentions. He raised his head, eyes resolute. But I don't want to live with regrets. I believe I can master the joyful sword. The elder stared at him for a moment, then said quietly, Every disciple who attempted this sword before you said the same thing. And all of them left empty-handed. If you've made up your mind, the elder finally said, then I won't try to stop you. Go on. Lin Shun bowed with a cheerful smile. Thank you, elder. I'll prove myself to you. With that, he turned and hurried off. The elder stood watching the young man's retreating figure, then let out a hearty laugh. Ha ha! This boy is truly interesting. Back at the waterfall, Lin Shun was immersed in his training. His sword swung through the air again and again, his movements relentless and unyielding, long into the night. Alongside sword practice, Lin Shun pushed his body further, training with intense handstands until exhaustion took hold. At last, he collapsed onto the ground, panting for breath. Joyful sword. Azure cloud steps. Just you wait, he muttered, raising his arms to the sky, fists clenched tight. I will conquer you both. 3 days later, atop a lonely mountain peak, whoosh, 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 a flurry of sword strikes sliced through the open air, sharp and fast. The final strike landed with a thunderous crash, shattering a massive boulder into chunks of rubble. The one wielding the blade was none other than Lin Shun. He staggered slightly, sweat dripping down his brow, chest heaving. Huff, huff, huff. Then a wide grin spread across his face as he took in the results of his efforts. I did it. I've finally mastered the joyful sword. Just as he began to bask in his accomplishment, a sudden squeal reached his ears. He looked up sharply. Ah! A small rabbit was dangling from a fragile branch, its tiny paws scrambling for grip. The branch cracked under the strain, then snap. The rabbit tumbled through the air. Without hesitation, Lin Shun activated the Azure Cloud Step. He moved like a shadow, blurring forward at incredible speed. In a flash, he caught the falling creature in midair, landing gently on the ground moments later. He looked down at the trembling animal in his hands, then smiled. Ha ha, that scared you, didn't it? Lucky you ran into me. He knelt and gently placed the rabbit back on the ground. Be careful next time. Don't be so reckless. The frightened creature squeaked and quickly scurried back to its burrow, vanishing into the underbrush. Lin Shun returned to his sword, reflecting on the training session. Very good. With a single step of Azure Cloud steps, I just covered 60 meters. That's no small feat. His eyes sparkled with determination. Just a little more time and I'll master it fully. When that day comes, a single step could take me 100 meters. Joy filled his chest. The importance of movement techniques was something he now fully grasped. Whether for attacking or defending, a powerful movement technique could mean the difference between life and death. After 3 days of grueling effort, both Joyful Sword and Azure Cloud Steps were beginning to show real result. However, Lin Shun knew one thing clearly: even with this progress, I'm still not ready to enter the Tianluo Mountain secret realm. My strength isn't enough yet. He gave himself a firm mental reminder. But what's more pressing is that I still haven't gathered enough contribution points. He clenched his jaw. Tomorrow I'll go to the mission hall and accept a task. That night, in his room, Lin Shun quietly cultivated using his internal art, clear sky profound yang technique. As he sat cross-legged, he drank a small vial of replenishing essence liquid, hoping to enhance his true qi. He began circulating his energy. Following the pathway of his cultivation art, his true qi flowed smoothly from his dantian, spreading throughout his body, from his bones to his meridians to his limbs, bringing with it a warm and comforting sensation. He closed his eyes, enjoying the peaceful state. But suddenly the warmth vanished. His eyes snapped open as he felt his true qi rapidly drain away. "What's going on?" he gasped. His qi was being pulled toward a single point within his consciousness. Alarmed, Lin Shun looked inward, only to see the small cauldron in his mind furiously absorbing his energy. That cauldron again! It drank in every drop of qi he had cultivated. Even the replenishing essence liquid he had just consumed was gone. He stared at it in shock. The cauldron absorbed everything. Worry crept into his heart. If it absorbs all medicinal energy like this, will I even be able to use pills from missions to enhance my cultivation? A deep unease settled over him. If I can't rely on pills, how much slower will my progress be? As these thoughts clouded his mind, the cauldron continued to fill, until it was brimming, glowing ominously. Then, just as suddenly, a radiant light burst from within it. Lin Shun felt a surge of life force pour out from the cauldron. His eyes widened. This. Could it be? Without hesitation, he began absorbing the energy, rich, pure, and far more potent than anything he'd felt before. He quickly circulated his true qi through the great heavenly cycle, twice, then 6 full times. Moments later, Lin Shun exhaled softly, completing his cultivation session. He could feel the vast amount of spiritual energy now coursing through him, rich and incredibly pure. Lin Shun marveled silently. Such pure and potent spiritual energy. Before, even with a single bottle of basic nourishing elixir, I had to circulate the great heavenly cycle at least 20 times to fully refine it. But the energy from this cauldron, it's as pure as that of a supreme-grade nourishing elixir. He was stunned. Supreme-grade nourishing elixirs were legendary, their rarity such that even with immense wealth, obtaining one was nearly impossible. Yet here, the small cauldron in his consciousness had given him equivalent spiritual energy, and he had refined it in just 6 cycles. Lin Shun's heart surged with joy. To think the cauldron in my head possesses such an effect. He felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this cauldron has even more uses I've yet to uncover. Suddenly, a strange sensation rippled through his body. Wait! His expression changed. I can feel the true qi in my dantian, it's permeating my bones. It's seeping into my marrow. Every cell, every inch of his skeletal structure was now absorbing and merging with the spiritual energy. Then it hit him, true qi entering the marrow. Could this be the beginning of the 5th level of body refinement? Marrow refining. The realization ignited a flame of excitement within him. Wasting no time, Lin Shun pushed himself fully toward that breakthrough. But the pain came swiftly. It was unbearable, like countless ants gnawing at his bones from the inside. Urgh! His body trembled. His bones felt as if they were corroding, dissolving from within, only to be reforged stronger than before. The pain intensified. He cried out involuntarily, "Aghh!" His face turned pale. His eyes rolled back as wave after wave of torment washed over him. The intensity of his screams mirrored the brutality of the transformation. It felt like an eternity, but eventually the torment subsided. Lin Shun collapsed, gasping for breath. Then, with a sudden laugh, he slowly stood up, still trembling but victorious. "Ha! I did it!" He straightened his back, savoring the feeling of power surging through him. Breakthrough. The 5th level of body refinement, marrow refining. Joy spread across his face. At my cultivation level, most disciples would need at least 2 months to advance a single realm. But I've advanced 2 realms. In just 3 days. He couldn't help but grin. If anyone found out about my cultivation speed, they'd be utterly shocked. Still smiling, Lin Shun blew out the lamp, lay down, and slowly drifted off to sleep, eager for the day to come. The next morning. Within a quiet room in the inner sect, an elderly man in white robes paced thoughtfully, hands clasped behind his back. It had been 3 days since he'd last seen that young disciple. His thoughts turned to Lin Shun. I wonder how that boy's cultivation is progressing. Just then, a soft voice called out behind him. "Second Grandpa." The elder turned, a flicker of surprise in his eyes. A young woman in green robes approached, a sword hanging at her waist. A small pout played on her lips. "Humph." The elder smiled gently. "Ener, what troubles you?" The girl's frustration bubbled to the surface. "Second Grandpa, I don't want to practice that sword technique anymore." He remained calm, chuckling lightly. "Haha. Ener, I think the 7-star linked ring sword is quite good. Why do you want to stop practicing it?" As if a dam had burst, the girl vented all her pent-up frustration. "You've never practiced it yourself. How would you know if it's any good? And it's so difficult. I've been practicing every day for half a month, and I still can't master the 7th stance. I'm starting to think it can't even be mastered at all." The elder nodded, understanding her struggle. "Your current cultivation has reached the early stage of the heavenly realm, and your martial talent is exceptional. I believe you can certainly grasp the 7th stance of the 7-star linked ring sword." Ener turned her head stubbornly. "I don't want to hear it." The elder's voice was soft, reassuring. "Don't be discouraged. In fact, I once practiced the 7-star linked ring sword myself. Back in the day, I was also stuck on the 7th stance for 3 full months. I couldn't make a breakthrough either, so eventually, I switched to another technique." Ener's eyes widened in surprise. "What? Even someone like you couldn't master it?" He laughed gently. "Haha, it's nothing to be proud of. But I would never lie to my precious niece." Hearing this, Ener grew even more indignant. "So even you couldn't do it, yet you still want me to practice it? You're just making fun of me." She crossed her arms and huffed. "I really don't think anyone can master this technique. It's just too hard." The elder continued patiently. "That's not necessarily true. Just a few days ago, an outer disciple, only at the peak of the 4th level of body refinement, used this very sword technique to defeat 3 others with higher cultivation levels." Ener's eyes widened again. "Really?" The elder nodded, a trace of admiration in his tone. "That boy's talent is ordinary, but he somehow managed to master the 7th stance. A few days back, he came to see me and requested permission to learn the joyful sword technique. It's far more advanced than the 7-star linked ring sword, but I allowed it. I want to see if he can actually succeed." Ener frowned. "He might have mastered the 7-star linked ring sword, but that doesn't mean he'll be able to handle the joyful sword." The elder chuckled warmly. Well, let's just wait and see how he fares. Curious now, Einar asked, Second Grandpa, what's the name of this young man you're talking about? The elder stroked his beard thoughtfully. Ah, he has quite a resounding name, Lin Shun. Einar unconsciously repeated the name under her breath. Lin Shun. The old man continued. He applied to join the Tianshu sect over a year ago. Still an outer disciple for now, but I doubt he'll stay one for long. If he truly masters the Wanyun sword technique, his future will be limitless. Hearing this, Einar's interest was clearly piqued. Second Grandpa speaks so highly of him. I'd like to see for myself if he really has 3 heads and 6 arms to deserve such praise. The elder burst into laughter. Ha ha. Einar, you should focus on your own cultivation instead. Your current level is still a bit lacking. I hope you can become one of the leading figures of the younger generation within the Tianshu sect. Einar grinned and waved him off. Alright, I got it, Second Grandpa. I'm heading to the market now. Take care, the elder called after her. Haha, until next time, he murmured to himself, watching her figure disappear into the distance. He sighed wistfully. If that girl would just focus. With her natural talent and aptitude, she'd have reached the late stage of the heavenly realm by now. But alas, she's far too fond of playing around. Coincidentally, at that very moment, Lin Shun himself was also strolling through the market, taking in the bustling sights and sound. Haha, the market is so lively today. He had come with a few goals in mind. Originally, he planned to visit the mission hall to accept a task and earn some contribution points. But then he remembered the cauldron in his mind, capable of enhancing the potency of medicinal pills. He couldn't waste that advantage. I should buy some pills instead. Better to focus on raising my cultivation quickly. Soon, Lin Shun arrived at a pill shop with an elegant facade. The moment he saw it, he nodded in satisfaction. In my past life, this place had a great reputation, tons of pills, all top quality. Back then, I couldn't afford any. But today is different. As he stepped inside, an attendant greeted him with a smile. Welcome, young master. How may I assist you? Lin Shun responded crisply. Give me 10 spiritual origin pills, 5 chi gathering pills, 3 portions each of antidote pills and golden sore medicine, and 10 bottles of replenishing essence liquid. While he waited, Lin Shun mentally reviewed his selection. Spiritual origin pills and chi gathering pills will speed up cultivation. Though the latter are a bit more effective, both are useful. The antidote and wound healing medicines will come in handy during missions. The attendant quickly returned with the items. That will be 200 low-grade spirit stones in total. Lin Shun handed over the stones without hesitation and turned to leave. Please come again for all your pill needs, young master, the attendant called after him cheerfully. Walking away, Lin Shun carried his medicines with a smile. Feels good to finally afford this stuff. Luckily, Ashen gave me those 300 low-grade spirit stones. Otherwise, I wouldn't even have been able to afford pills. Just then, a strange sensation stirred within his mind. A sudden wave of pain hit him. What's happening? The cauldron in his consciousness began to vibrate violently, its presence pulsing with urgency. It was guiding him, drawing his attention toward something specific. Following the pull, Lin Shun found himself in front of an antique stall. The cauldron's focus was unwavering, aimed directly at something on display. Is it that? Among a disorganized pile of old relics, his eyes locked onto a broken blue sword, the very object the cauldron had zeroed in on. Lin Shun stepped up to the stall, his gaze fixed on the fragment of the sword. Seeing his interest, the vendor smiled enthusiastically. Young man, seems you've taken a liking to this broken sword? Feigning curiosity, Lin Shun widened his eyes. Is this sword some kind of treasure? Or does it have an interesting backstory? The stall owner chuckled mysteriously. Haha, this broken sword has quite the history. One of my friends retrieved it, after a lot of trouble, from an ancient ruin. I'm certain it once belonged to a mighty warrior of the olden days. Lin Shun's eyes widened in mock surprise. An ancient ruin? Ancient ruins were remnants of the long-lost era, dangerous and filled with unknown risks, but also hiding rare treasures. Though the broken sword before him seemed completely ordinary, the intense reaction from the cauldron in his mind made it clear. This sword was anything but normal. After a brief pause, Lin Shun looked at the vendor and asked, "How much for this broken sword?" The stall owner, thinking he had found a gullible customer, beamed. "Young man, you have a good eye. Let me tell you, I value customers like you. This sword is a rare find, one of a kind. Miss this chance, and you won't find another like it." Then, he confidently stated, "It's not expensive, just 300 low-grade spirit stones." Lin Shun held back a scoff. What a con artist! He thought to himself. He probably just picked this up outside some ruins. Now he's spinning tales. Out loud he said, "Do you take me for a child? This broken sword isn't worth 300 low-grade spirit stones." He turned to leave, feigning disinterest. "If it weren't for an elder in my family who enjoys antiques, I wouldn't even bother with this." Seeing his customer walk away, the stall owner panicked. Wait. Young man, don't go. The price is negotiable." Lin Shun glanced over his shoulder. "Then name your price." "I don't have time to waste." Hurriedly, the vendor blurted, "How about 250 spirit stones?" Lin Shun's expression remained unimpressed. Sensing he hadn't gone low enough, the vendor stammered, Okay, 200. No? Alright, 100 then." But Lin Shun had already turned to leave again. Wait, the stall owner cried, his voice bordering on desperation. You clearly have a fated connection with this sword. Fine, 50 low-grade spirit stones. I'll sell it to you for 50. Lin Shun turned back, pretending to consider. Then he nodded. Alright. 50 it is. As he handed over the payment, the stall owner was nearly in tears. I almost had him. Just a little more. Now I've lost over 80% of the price. Still, the deal was done. Lin Shun held up the broken sword triumphantly. Excellent. It's mine now. But just as he was about to walk away, a clear voice called out nearby. Wait a moment. He turned to see a young woman in green robes walking toward them, her long hair flowing, her eyes sharp. She pointed directly at the sword in his hand. I want that sword. Inwardly she thought, if I give this antique to second grandpa, he'll definitely be overjoyed. Lin Shun frowned. What's with this girl? She trying to stir up trouble now? He quickly examined her cultivation, dense spiritual energy surrounded her. She's already in the heavenly realm. Definitely a genius. Holding the broken sword closer, Lin Shun said calmly, I'm sorry. But I've taken a liking to this sword. It's not for sale. The young woman, unfazed, countered, You just bought it for 50 low-grade spirit stones. I'll give you 200. Lin Shun hesitated. If it were anything else, I'd take the offer. Making a connection with a genius like her wouldn't be bad either. But this sword. It had caused the cauldron in his mind to tremble. It clearly wasn't something ordinary. He had to study it. Before he could answer, she pressed again. 300? I'll add another 100. Just name your price. The stall owner, who had been quietly watching nearby, was on the verge of tears. I could have made a fortune if I'd waited. Lin Shun's voice was soft but resolute. Miss, I truly like this sword. I wouldn't sell it for 300, let alone 3,000. A priceless treasure isn't something you just give away. The young woman's face briefly clouded with disappointment. Then she smiled slightly and said, A priceless treasure, is it? Fine. Keep it. Enjoy it. She paused and studied him curiously. Judging by your appearance, you're an outer disciple of the Tianshu sect, aren't you? Lin Shun tensed slightly. And if I am? She smiled. Do you happen to know someone named Lin Shun? His heart skipped a beat. How does she know my name? Cautious, he replied calmly, I've never heard that name before. She gave a light shrug. I suppose that's to be expected. With so many outer disciples, it's not like I'd find him just by asking randomly. Then, a teasing smile curved her lips as she turned to leave. Remember my name, she said over her shoulder. Shui Lingyun. Perhaps our paths will cross again. With that, she vanished into the crowd. Lin Shun stood there, watching her disappear into the busy marketplace. Interesting, he muttered. A talented genius. And quite the beauty too. Far. I remember that name. The name Shui Lingyun echoed in Lin Shun's mind like a bell tolling through the mist.